Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today to discuss the overtrigger tier list.
It has been a long time coming. We have seen a lot of decks abuse these broken pieces of shit, but those additional effects sure as heck aren't equal.
Sleepy Joe, I don't know what your issue with the overtrigger is. I think it's good that newer players can beat veteran players with years of experience. A game can't grow when the same old dinosaurs keep winning. Nobody can be motivated to give a shit when there are established people at the top.
You're wrong, Donald. Overtriggers don't help grow the game. It's killing it faster than Liz Truss killed the pound. Vanguard is dropping so hard with the emergence of newer rivals such as Bandai's games.
I really don't have time for your doomer shit, Joe. This game needs more positivity. Why can't you just use your platform to talk about how tremendous overtriggers are and how great Vanguard is?
Gentlemen, can we not go off topic, please? We need to have a critical discussion on which overtriggers have the most impact across their respective nations. Let's start off with Amartanoa.
D-tier, this card is ass.
That's absurd.
You know what's absurd, Sleepy Joe? Checking this card on turn 2 with no rear guards, or maybe one for a +1 advantage and an opponent who doesn't care about taking the damage. Did I also forget to mention United Sanctuary sucks and you can't even play Ultima with it because the monkeys who made the overtrigger didn't think about Ultima and trashed United Sanctuary so bad with the restriction list. You also lose out on drives when checking this card at random after deciding to swing with rears first, because how were you meant to know you would check this card?
Drive checking in Jewel Knights, Oracle Think Tank, and Bastion is pretty good. Jewel Knights have superior call multi-attacks with Ashley and an 8-drive Crystal Luster Salome. Oracle struggles to put pressure, but with cards like Goddess of the Sun, you can dig harder for critical that end the game while having Ichikishima in play. Bastion was a strong contender for a good amount of the D format. The Sanctuary also has more trigger manipulation to increase odds.
I am sorry, Joe, but while I agree there is a place for Amartanoa in some decks, the fact is he was designed way too much for Bastion and Grade 3 rear guard-centric decks. Also, the Sanctuary decks are hardly seeing play in premium format right now, and even in D it's not as prevalent at this time. I agree with Donald, this card is D tier. Moving on, Gallmage held.
Weak D tier.
Do you think every overtrigger is weak?
No, it's just that Obama keeps starting with the bad ones. This card gives 10k and a critical all-game big whoop.
You take that back. Donald Gallmage held is a fantastic card when you get it early game. In fact, it's generally always doing something no matter the game state, unlike Amartanoa. When combined with a restand deck like Premium Pale Moon, No Life King, and Chronojet, you can't go wrong.
But you seem to forget, Sleepy Joe, those decks aren't being played much. It is all about Steam Maiden and American football. They don't do that much in those decks.
To be fair, a turn 2 overtrigger is annoying. It all accumulates. It enhances the Grade 3 game further, giving decks like Steam Maiden and Spike Brothers overwhelming advantage to control the direction of the game.
I don't think it's the greatest overtrigger, but it is never bad, at least definitely better than Amartanoa in that respect. I would put it to B at least.
Well, Donald doesn't rate it too high. Maybe we should meet in the middle and go for C.
That's fine. We do live in a democracy, which some people can't understand.
Was that meant to be a stab at me, Sleepy Joe? Believe me, nobody loves democracy more than I, but I also call bullshit when something is unfair or rigged.
Donald, it's only ever rigged when it works against you.
That is not true. I called out the DNC when Bernie got cheated in his card fight against Hillary, and nothing was done about it.
He has a point. Hillary was a notorious cheater, of course. When she no longer had control of the rules, she would lose to Donald. I should have been the one to fight Donald back then instead of her.
And you won this last round because it was rigged against me?
Can we just move on? We have 5 more overtriggers to get through. Bless Favor, what are your thoughts?
Absolute God tier.
For once, I agree. This card is always useful. I don't know why they gave this nation a disgustingly useful and high-impact one. It represents all triggers from V-Series. Why would they ever make it this way for just this one nation? Instant S tier.
However, Donald, this doesn't get used much, and it's used across 5 clans, since it is 2 nations barring Bermuda Triangle. That is poor. Nobody uses Neo Nectar and Great Nature, while Grand Blue, despite being popular, never sees representation because something is always gatekeeping that deck from seeing more use. Aquaforce and Mega Colony have seen some tops, but I don't think the hype has been big, and Mega Colony has been a default presence every Worlds as the anti-meta choice, but never really sees top on the national level. Shout out to Peter Van Allen, though. He has seen some consistent success with Shieldfisher in the past year.
True, but just because of the now doesn't stop this card from deserving a top spot. It is 5 clans, and any spike of relevance will make this more annoying. Also, Magnolia was pretty big with this overtrigger. You can't forget there was that bear who can also copy trigger effects.
Fair enough. Shall we just go a tier for now? Let's keep the S tier saved up for one overtrigger so we don't cheapen it in the process.
Okay, see, Joe, I do believe in democracy.
I'm glad we came to a mutual agreement. Next, we have all the lyrical overtriggers. Yes, there are 6 to cater to different fetishes.
I hate how you describe that, Barack. It is nice to have something different for different tastes. They're all very beautiful. My favorite is the pussycat one.
Go grab them, Donald.
Very funny, Joe, except that never happened. Stop bringing your political views into this discussion about overtriggers. Besides, those memes about you sniffing girls exist for a reason.
Political views? That is so head-ass, Donald, and you know it.
Can you two stop digging at each other, please? This isn't a presidential election. Let's not talk about arts and focus on the skill and their impact.
I don't rate this highly. Lyrical isn't as impactful currently in Overdress, while Bermuda Triangle is the only premium clan to use this in. Maybe a C tier? Although the continuous for the rest of the game additional effect is very useful, especially with multi-attacks or a prolonged game. It is like having force markers everywhere, never mind how much reindeer can help you generate. But then we did see a lot of Bermuda in LA earlier this year, so maybe Bermuda is hard carrying this overtrigger into relevance since it is for one clan.
Bermuda is basically a nation, Joe. Have you seen how huge their sets are? And while they made Lyrical once a year originally, they U-turned to twice a year. Like, seriously, what was the point of splitting Bermuda from Aquaforce and Grand Blue? They made the game more convoluted for no reason. It doesn't make much sense in the lore because they don't have an army anymore like Aquaforce for Homeland Security. What if the Dragon Tree invades them?
Okay, but that's not relevant. Stay on topic.
It is, because I don't agree with looking at this as being played in one clan. If the clan is huge, what difference does it make?
Fair enough.
I suggest that we put this in A tier then?
Yep.
Wonderful, good progress. Now, Drivetta, what do you guys think?
This card is tremendous. You can restand the Vanguard and plus more. It's generally better than the Keter one, which is awkward when you have no rears. It's a massive game stealer. Have you guys ever seen the progenitor used with this? Terrifying stuff.
It is a very good overtrigger, but the nation isn't bringing too much attention to this. Maybe if there was more Dragon Empire representation.
That is true, Joe. A lack of Nubatama, Murakumo, Tachikaze, and even Kagero at events doesn't do this card justice. As for Narukami, it has been sliding away a bit with the Stunverse limit, but it is still seeing some play. Maybe it should be an A or B?
B. Narukami doesn't perform as many drive checks to increase the odds. I think Lyrical is better because Reindeer and Heltrata exist.
I actually agree with this.
Okay, B tier it is. What do you guys think of Eldobreath?
Absolute piece of shit. Strongest card of all time. I hope whoever made this steps on a Mega Block.
Too generous. Why not step on a Lego?
Get good scrubs. You can play around this by keeping your damage lower or having the foresight to play around it with the assumption it will be checked. Learn to also win games faster to reduce the risks of it.
Have you tried playing D format and suddenly going from 1 to 6, Donald? It is a thing.
Donald, I hope you go to hell.
This card has been healthy for the game. Imagine being a new player. You go against Steven, Hal, Jay, No Man, or Teo, and then get beaten. Why would you want to play this game anymore? You would quit and play one of the many new TCGs being shitted out into the market by Bandai instead. That way you can be ahead of the curve from the start.
Donald, that is a load of bullshit, and you know it. Anybody can win in this game just from being more well-prepared. You called me a doomer at the start of the discussion, but the real doomer here is you, Donald. Players don't need to be babied. Plus, there are new faces emerging in events. This next generation of talented players are making names. There is no stranglehold or people staying at the top because they played longer. So for heaven's sake, Donald, shut the f*** up.
Amen to that.
You know what? Screw you all. Being on a call with two try-hard Democrats was a stupid idea anyway. See you, chumps.
I guess he is upset.
Forget about that loser. Let's keep going, Barack. Just give Elderbreath the S spot.
Okay, so now we are down to the generic one that gives an extra 100 million.
This one is pretty mid. I think we go to for C tier.
Yeah, that sounds good. I guess that is it. Thank you, everybody, for watching our presidential discussion on overTriggers. Let us know down below in the comments what you think. Do you agree, or would you change the ranking?
And if you want overtriggers to be removed, not just from play, but from the game, keep tweeting your overtrigger sob stories. Until next time, God bless you all.